The Ministerial Cabinet is a major strategic component of the Federal Executive Council that pilots the affairs of Nigeria. They are saddled with the responsibility to initiate and implement progressive developmental policies that will change the fortunes of the country. Let's put you on speed on their continuous effort to deliver on the Ministers platform. You're welcome. Latest news information across federal ministries, agencies, and parastatals is next on Ministry News. The federal government has approved the production of vaccines in commercial quantity to support routine immunization in the country. This decision was reached in this week's Federal Executive Council meeting chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Council Chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire, further disclosed that the federal government has entered into partnership with the largest vaccine producer in the world to set up vaccine production plants in the country.
The contract manufacturing that was approved today will be done in India for biovaccine. But before the end of this year, the groundbreaking will start because they already drawn the plan, the structural plan, everything is already completed, the survey has been done, the approval has been given. And then with this partnership now, they will now begin to break the ground and start building the factory right away.
As part of efforts to boost rice production in Nigeria, the federal government has approved an intervention fund for the completion of the 10 large-scale rice mills with a combined minimum capacity of 320 metric tons per day in 10 states. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar, will disclose this at the opening ceremony of the 45th regular meeting of the National Council on Agriculture and Rural Development in Jos, Plateau State, pointed out that the mills will be located in Jigawa, Kano, Adamawa, Niger, Kaduna, Gombe, Ekiti, Ogun, Bayelsa, and the Federal Capital Territory. Dr. Abubakar further stated that the government also wished to vigorously develop clusters, rural nodal centers, and rural cottage industries, as well as establish 6 special agro-industrial processing zones, SAPZ, nationwide. In another development from the agricultural sector, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the United States of America signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) on the Agriculture Innovative Mission (AIM) for climate as response to climate change, which continues to devastate the environment and plunge millions of people across the world into starvation and other hazards. Speaking during a courtesy visit by the U.S. government, led by the U.S. Special Envoy on Climate Change, John Kerry, at the headquarters of the ministry, the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, said it became imperative for the ministry to sign the letter of intent, especially now that the population of Nigeria is growing and the food security currently both a fundamental objective and expected outcome of development policies in Nigeria, as the country currently faces a challenge of nutrition requirements. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire, on Thursday has disclosed that the federal government's action of committing huge resources to the health sector was to improve healthcare delivery and checkmate medical tourism by Nigerians. Represented by the Chief Medical Director, Federal Teaching Hospital, Ado-Ekiti, Professor Adekunle Ajayi in Ado-Ekiti at the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria, AMLSN Annual Scientific Conference and Workshop, emphasized that the government is specifically investing in the Nigerian laboratory system to prepare it for both energy and routine diagnosis of diseases as obtainable in advanced nations. Further disclosed that the federal government has also invested hugely in integrated referral network, integrated laboratory information management system, and in the National Primary Health Care Development Agency for the actualization of universal health coverage for Nigerians. The federal government is considering the use of compressed natural gas (CNP), which the country has in abundance, to reposition the transportation sector in urban centers across the country. The Minister of State for Transportation, Prince Ademola Adegoroye, stated this when he received the report on Implementation Ready Report on National Strategy Development for the adoption of compressed natural gas (CNG) based transportation system in Nigeria's urban cities on Tuesday in Abuja. Speaking further, the Minister of State, while assuring that the report will be given prompt attention, appreciated the initiative taken by his erstwhile colleague, Senator Bimsola Saraki. And still from the transportation sector, the federal government has inaugurated a committee to provide concrete measures to safeguard train passengers and railway infrastructure across the country. The 11-man committee, which was inaugurated by the Permanent Secretary in Abuja, is to review the use of surveillance equipment along rail lines and set up a special task force on railway lines across the country. Some of the key members of the committee include the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Transport, Madeline Ajani, as chairman, the MD of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Fidet Okiria, as secretary, amongst others. Nigeria and French Development Agency AFD on Wednesday signed a grant of €25 million for the Northern Corridor project to boost power supply in the country. Speaking at the signing of the agreement in Abuja, Mr. Clement Agba, Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, said that the project was in line with the objectives of the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. The project is meant to strengthen a low-carbon economic growth in West Africa by improving the quality of electricity network in Nigeria and support the development of a regional electricity market under the West African Power Pool. According to the minister, the project was in line with the objectives of the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025.
The AFD and indeed the French government for this intervention in our power sector, especially as it has to do with our transmission lines and substation.
The federal government has ordered buyers of two underpriced public properties in Lagos to pay the differential of their real values as of 2001. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola, who briefed reporters after the FEC meeting in Abuja, said the properties of 4-bedroom bungalow on Adeniyi Jones, Lagos, and a 5-bedroom duplex on Amadasun Street in GRA Ikoyi, Lagos, were sold for 2 million and 5 million naira. He said the government now wants the buyers to pay 18 million for the bungalow and 20 million for the properties, being the cost at which they were valued in 2001. Nigeria's Minister of Defense, Major General Salihi Magashi, retired, has expressed the ministry's readiness to support the Navy in the area of security surveillance. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the 2022 Nigeria Navy Games, which held at the Nigerian Navy Barracks, Ojo, on Tuesday, Magashi acknowledged the tremendous support and contributions of the Navy towards securing the nation's maritime domain for the benefit and economic prosperity of the country. He, however, commended the military agency for their significant roles in maintaining internal security within the nation. The federal government has flagged off the 2022 Readership Promotion Campaign to sensitize Nigerians on the importance of reading as a tool for national growth. At the event in Abuja, the Minister of State for Education, Mr. Goodluck Opia, said the campaign was designed by the National Library of Nigeria to capture the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. The minister noted that the theme of this year's campaign, Reading as a Panacea for Societal Problems, was timely considering the declining level of reading habit in the world and Nigeria in particular. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development of Nigeria has rolled out a new grant scheme, Grant for Vulnerable Groups Program, GVG, to assist the poorest and most vulnerable Nigerians in rural and peri-urban areas in Bauchi State. At the flag off in Bauchi this week, the Minister, Ajia Sadiya Umaru Farouk, said the state has the highest slots in the country, which is necessary to addressing the impact of insurgency, banditry, and the large volume of IDPs in the state. According to the minister, the ministry has distributed 20,000 naira each to 5,679 beneficiaries across the 20 local government areas of the state under the GVG program. The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Adeleke Olorunimbe Mamora, has said that the federal government will invest in assistive devices to help people living with disabilities to function well, stressing that disability in any form should not be a reason for discrimination. Dr. Adeleke said this when he received in audience a delegation from Disability Right Advocate Center led by Mr. Afolayan Muyiwa Timothy in Abuja during the week. The minister further stated that the assistive device also will encourage the disabled persons to live independent life irrespective of their disability, stressing that the government will always ensure that the physically challenged in the society are adequately supported. And finally, on ministry news, the Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved 28 billion naira for the provision of roads and other infrastructure in the Wassa district of Abuja. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, said this while addressing journalists at the end of Wednesday's meeting of the council chaired by President Muhammadu Buhari. The minister added that the completion period for the contract has also been extended to 42 months.
The initial contract for that project was awarded in 2014 at the sum of 56 billion. But as time went by and due to inflation and so many other factors, we had to vary the contract and the price to reflect current reality. The sum of 28 billion, 117 million, 904,027 naira.
Let's now bring to you a comprehensive news catalog of how the president attended to national matters from the presidency. President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday in Abuja conferred national honors on Toby Amusan, Ese Brume, and other athletes who represented Nigeria at the 2022 Commonwealth Games and World Athletics Championships with a cash gift of 200 million naira. The president congratulated all the awardees and recipients, expressing confidence that this will spur them to greater heights. He described the athletes as champions, worthy ambassadors, national heroes, and heroines, heaped praises on them for proudly flying the Nigerian flag in 9 sporting events.
12 times the world stood still as our green, white, green national flag was hoisted and the national anthem recited. I thank you for competing among the best in the world and displaying the God-given attributes of the real Nigerian: never give up, strive to the end.
President Muhammadu Buhari has directed that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) Limited and its subsidiaries repair Section 4 of the East-West Road. The president made the remark on Thursday at the opening ceremony of the 5th National Council on the Niger Delta in Uyo. The president, who was represented by the Environment Minister Muhammadu Abdullahi, assured that completing the East-West Road was a top priority for the administration. President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated a couple of projects during his visit to Owerri, Imo State. The president was received by the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, inaugurated the dualized Owerri-Olu Road, Owerri-Okigwe Road, and the constructed Imo House of Assembly complex.
I'm happy to note that within just 3 years of the administration of Governor Uzodinma, I have made 2 official visits to Imo State to commission projects in the state. Little wonder, therefore, that he has made the provision of good roads one of his top priorities. Our administration recognizes the importance of critical infrastructure in economic development, and we are determined to drive the economic development of Nigeria through the provision of vital infrastructure across the length and the breadth of the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday in Abuja awarded Nigerian citizenship to 286 nationals, urging them to be good citizens of the country to enjoy all the rights and privileges bestowed on them. The president explained that out of the 286 foreign nationals presented with certificates of Nigerian citizenship, 2008 received certificates for naturalization, while 78 got certificates by registration.
Further urge that you be in accord with our national ethics and code of conduct as citizens of Nigeria. No matter where you come from or what faith you practice, Nigeria is now your home and pride and joy. All those concerned with immigration matters are to offer our new citizens quick legal identification. Also, their local governments should assist with their integration in the local community to enable them enjoy all the entitlements of a Nigerian citizen.
And finally, from the presidency, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of retired Major General Barry Indiomo as interim administrator of the Presidential Amnesty Program (PAP). Indiomo hails from Odoni in Sagbama local government area of Bayelsa State. The retired Major General is replacing Colonel Miland Dixon Dikio as the Amnesty Office boss. Capacity building and capability upgrade in a critical federal ministry like the Defense Ministry is a major determinant factor of its battle readiness to tackle insecurity. Let's get the facts and figures from Nigeria's Defense Minister. You're still watching the Minister's platform, and right away we're going to be speaking with the Honorable Minister of one of the very powerful and strategic federal ministries in the country, solely in charge of national security. We're talking about the Ministry of Defense. It's my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashiru Salihi Magashi, retired. Honorable Minister of Defense, you're welcome, sir. We're quite glad to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, your ministry is a very strategic one, and the principal task of the Defense Ministry is to provide policy directions of the government on all defense and security-related matters. So in the light of this, Minister, what is the defense policy thrust of the ministry and the Defense Ministry Master Plan of President Muhammadu Buhari-led government?
Well, the policy thrust of the Ministry of Defense under this administration, and indeed all administration, is guided mainly by the Nigerian constitutions and national defense policy. These documents clearly marked out the tasks for this ministry, particularly in those peculiar times in our national history. The Ministries' policies thrust are thus mainly coordinate and supervise the defense headquarters, the three services, as well as parastatals and agencies to end insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, and other forms of insecurity in Nigeria. It is also to secure Nigeria's territorial water and piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, protect Nigerian oil installations onshore and offshore, as well as develop and maintain central security database amongst all security agencies. Others are to develop an effective and functional defense industry, actively collaborate with the private sector to create a large number of well-paying jobs for Nigerian youth through defense industrial efforts and collaboration with other security agencies to ensure domestic security.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Well, how well has the Ministry of Defense, under your watch, been able to provide the much expected administrative and support services to actually help the armed forces to build and maintain a modern, compact, strong, professional, capable, and mission-ready force for the defense of the country?
Well, let me reiterate our appreciation to Mr. President for his unwavering support and vision. Under his leadership, we have greatly improved the capacity of our armed forces. We must, however, appreciate that the armed forces in recent times has had to adapt to various multi-dimensional threats which it was not traditionally trained for. Our focus has been to provide strategic guidance to ensure the services evolve quickly to effectively address these threats. The service chiefs understand this, and to this effect, we have made several policy changes and reviews. We are currently implementing the recommendation of the Armed Forces Reform Committee Act, and in the last 2 years have approved several structure and doctrinal changes in respective services. These changes are being systematically implemented, and we continue to assess our capabilities and make necessary adjustments. To a very large extent, I believe we have been able to provide the armed forces with both administrative and support services to meet their objectives.
The Ministry of Defense was established on the 1st of October 1958 with the statutory responsibility of overseeing the defense profile of the country from the perspective of the armed forces. But considering the current security architecture of the country, how best has the ministry practically upheld that statutory responsibility?
Well, the Ministry of Defense has played an important role in nation building, peace and security since its establishment in 1958, with Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as the first Minister of Defense. It is generally believed that the British left Nigeria with a bloodless legal transfer of power. However, as you are aware, the evolution of the modern-day Nigeria that we see today was not smooth affair, particularly in the light of the current security challenges. However, the Ministry of Defense has continued to evolve in similar fashion to defend the territorial integrity of the nation states against external and internal threats. I will therefore say with all sense of humility that the Ministry of Defense has discharged its statutory responsibility satisfactorily. As you are all aware, internal security is presently the most serious challenges to our national security, with our armed forces currently battling communal and sectorial clashes, secessionist groups, militants, and other antisocial elements around the nation. In response to this, the Ministry of Defense, as the supervisory ministry of the armed forces, has continued to evolve new innovative solutions geared towards building capability and capacity of the armed forces through policy guidelines, platforms, and equipment acquisition. Also, training as well as logistics support, to mention just a few of them.
Fantastic, Honorable Minister. Now, one of the mandates of the Defense Ministry is to maintain a proper balance in arms and men to meet the needs of internal and external security. But looking at the state of insecurity in the country, can we say that the Defense Ministry, under your watch, has been able to live up to these mandates?
Military equipment and manpower are critical components of the armed forces in dealing with the prevailing security situation in the country. It is, however, important to note that the military equipments are either expendable or degradable and requires constant replacement or upgrade, particularly in the case of asymmetric warfare. Given these characteristics, it will be a wrong notion to presume that armed forces will be adequately equipped in total to deal with asymmetric warfare as we are currently facing in Nigeria until the security threat ceases to exist. But notwithstanding that, this administration has procured many modern military equipments and platforms in line with the current acquisition drive to boost the capacity and capability of our armed forces. Notably, for the Nigerian Army, this administration has procured several VT-4 main battle tanks, STI light-wheeled tanks, mines-resistant ambush protection vehicles, armor repair recovery vehicles, and minesweepers. Others are troops carrying vehicles, ground radar surveillance equipment, advanced tactical geolocation location platform catcher, mortars, artillery weapons, as well as various caliber of guns and ammunition. Similarly, for the Nigerian Navy, we have acquired several offshore patrol boats, fast patrol boats, hydrographic survey ships, AW-139 helicopters, and various calibers of guns and ammunition. Also for the Nigerian Air Force, this administration have acquired Super Tucano aircraft, Augusta 109 and 137 helicopters, MI-35M helicopters, Super Mushat helicopters, several armed aerial vehicles, as well as various caliber of guns, bombs, and ammunition. I can confidently therefore say that the overall capability of the armed forces has been massively enhanced over the last 6 years, and we are gradually reaping the benefits of these improvements. Similarly, on the issue of manpower, the federal government has continuously improved the manpower intake and training of the armed forces to meet its manpower demands.
The National Veterinary Research Institute, NVIR, is our agency in focus on our ministry, agencies, and parasiticides in focus segment. The National Veterinary Research Institute, NVRI, was established in 1924 with an initial mandate to combat the rinderpest outbreaks that had devastated Nigerian cattle population in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. NVRI is the foremost and only veterinary research institute in Nigeria with the mandate to conduct research into all aspects of animal diseases, develop and produce animal vaccines, provide surveillance and diagnosis of animal diseases, and provide extension services to poultry and livestock farmers, amongst others. Presently, a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, the National Veterinary Research Institute has 9 technical departments whose activities include the production of internationally quality vaccines and offering of services for the identification, control, and eradication of economically important livestock diseases through best practices, research excellence, and applying modern technology. It is the hub of veterinary research in Nigeria, and her vaccines are patronized within and outside Nigeria. The institute is endowed with highly trained manpower with experienced research scientists in varied fields of veterinary services and other fields of applied sciences, and a number of medical laboratory and animal husbandry sciences, research for the development of new vaccines or other methods of disease control to combat emerging diseases of livestock and poultry, and improving the vaccines in production is the Institute's primary area of focus. And so the core mandate of the Institute are to conduct research into all aspects of animal diseases, their treatment and control, to develop and produce animal vaccines, sera and biological to meet the national demand, to provide surveillance and diagnosis of animal diseases, to introduce exotic stock for improved egg, meat, and milk production, to provide extension services to poultry and livestock farmers, and finally to train intermediate manpower in veterinary laboratory, technology, and animal health and production technology. Dr. Miriam Mohammed is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Veterinary Research Institute. Since taking over the leadership of NVRI, she has attracted large grants from investors, including the tertiary large grants from investors, including the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Regional Cooperation, and United Nations offices.
The fact that there are no strict laws that governs or guides tenants.
For like 2 years now, and I have not seen one person ask me to pay 1 year.
I like this city because of the opportunity, job opportunities.
Yes, sir, because they are not happy because of the way the electricity applies. They have to make sure we have enough power supply to make the citizen not to be angry to vandalize the power stations. If they can put more interest to fight to know the reason why we don't have enough power security, more electric supply, I think the problem will be solved. If everything is in order, I don't think we have a problem with the poor masses.
What I suggest could be the best option to curb the menace of power station vandalizing. Firstly, we just have to have a very formidable security on ground who are to monitoring all our power stations all over. And if anybody caught, such a person must be taken to a law court for a thorough investigation and give such a person an appropriate punishment as he or she deserves.
Vandalization is not good. There are laws against it, and people that engage in such, once caught, they should be tried according to the law, and then the proper jail terms or fine should be meted out.
For what, my dear brother, nothing else about politics. We are hungry. We need to put Nigeria in place. A lot of things have been going wrong. This vandalization that is stopping the NEPA for them to work. Government should look into it about the security. For better security, and we will get things right. But we need to beg our president for him to put things right. Things are not too good. We need a better government.
It's our line of thought on the Ministers platform that Nigerians need to know and appreciate the performance capacity and efforts being made at the ministerial level to deliver their mandate. Let's continue the conversation next week. Thanks for watching.